You can be what you wanna be. Be what you wanna be. You just be what you wanna be with me.
Welcome to another episode of Happy AF. I'm Sam Bowker, I'm your host, and yeah, welcome. I'm super excited to have you here. How's everybody traveling on this Monday morning? It's like actually later, right? If you're in Australia, or actually not Australia, if you're in New South Wales at least, daylight saving ended. So it's actually 11 o'clock right now, not 10 o'clock, which is definitely different. And I just find that it actually already feels like the middle of the day for me, which is hilarious because I'm normally getting up so early. So I'm just going to set this so that I can see you guys if anybody is there. Okay, if anyone's there, say hello to me. If not, that's okay. Give me a thumbs up, give me some love. Let me know that you're here and you're ready and you can hear me and you're happy to be here. Oh, okay, so anyway, let me say, I'm super grateful for all of you that have been tuning in. This is now, I want to say, we've got to be like at our 9th episode. And for me, that's actually a massive achievement because in the past, I have started things and stopped things and started things and stopped things. And I had a really deep contemplative think about this over the weekend and why I actually have done that in the past. And it brings me to our topic today, which is quite funny, really, because I realized that in the past I have come up with all these ideas, and there's probably two ways of thinking about why I've stopped and started, right? One is that I've got so many ideas, I have an abundance of ideas, and my mind is constantly like a little butterfly and it's going, oh, shiny object, shiny object, shiny object, shiny object. And I jump in and I really love the creation process and I love the starting process. And then somewhere along the line, some other shiny object comes along and I get sidetracked and I jump from this to that, to this, to that, to this, to that. I'd be really interested to know, can anybody relate to that, right? Can anybody relate to starting something and then getting sidetracked or bored somewhere along the way and jumping to somewhere else? And if you can relate to that, what do you tell yourself about yourself when you do that? Because that's a really interesting thing to sit back and have a think about. So, a long time ago, when I used to do that, I used to tell myself a story about, oh, it's my ADD brain, right? And I would use that as an excuse. Or I would say, oh, I'm just really disorganized. Or I would say, oh, I get bored easily. Or I would say, it's not for me. It's not for me. I don't really want to do it anyway. And I would make up a story that would justify why I'd started and then why I had stopped. Okay. And I've done a lot of work on this over the years to the degree that I literally have got 5% tattooed on my wrist now, because a while back, maybe a couple of years ago now, I did a workshop with a guy called Jesse Itzler. And if you haven't heard of him, check him out. He's seriously cool. And Jesse Itzler's talking about how the first 95% of something is easy, but the last 5% is the other 95%, right? And this was not the first time I'd heard this. My dad always used to say to me, the first 95%, is the beginning, but the last 5% is the other 95%. And at the time, I really probably didn't understand it until I heard it again from Jesse. And I realized the last 5% is where we get judged, right? Because if you jump in and you show up and you do something, but then you don't complete it, then no one can ever judge the outcome, right? And if no one can ever judge the outcome, I'm not putting myself out there to be, humiliated, to be told I'm not good enough, to be told I'm not worthy, to be told that it's irrelevant or I'm irrelevant. I'm not really risking losing anything if I don't do the last 5%. And this has been a pattern throughout my entire life, right? I have started things and stopped things and started things and stopped things. And so the reason I want to start the show today with this story is because this show, Happy AF, has been a long time in the making. Okay, I've done various versions of a similar concept, and the reality is that I've always gotten distracted along the way. And it's not that I'm lazy, it's not that I'm disorganized, it's not that I'm hopeless, it's not that I have ADD. All of those are bullshit stories that I have been using in the past to protect me from the simple fact that I am hustling for my worthiness. I'm going to say it again. I am hustling for my worthiness. I'm hustling for my enoughness. And I'm fearful that if I do something and I put it out into the world, somebody might tell me it's not good, it's not enough. I'm not deserving. And I have become really, really good at making up stories to justify and essentially delete, distort, and generalize all of the information that comes my way to back up my reason for why I've changed paths or directions. And so it got me to thinking. I wondered, I wonder if it's just us, mere mortals, just, us simple people, not, the successful people, not, the famous people. I wonder if it's just a small portion of the planet that actually is hustling for this worthiness. And through my research, which has probably culminated in, I want to say, about 25 years. Yes, I'm that old. I know, I look fabulous. I know. But I realized that some of my people that I look up to the most, like people that I think are just so fabulous, like Oprah Winfrey, like hashtag amazeballs. I have watched every episode that woman has ever put out. I have been and seen her live in Queensland with my mum and my aunties and my best friend and my bubba. And she had a bubba in her tummy at the time, and that's a special moment. I just saw that photo recently, and my auntie who's passed, hey aunts, I hope you're checking out my show, and my beautiful friend who had her little bubba in her tummy, who is now with us. So but I remembered thinking to myself, I wonder if someone like Oprah feels like she has to hustle for her worth. I wonder if someone like Oprah struggles with, the need to please people and to be liked and to be loved and to be accepted. No, clearly Oprah couldn't possibly struggle with that because, she's Oprah Winfrey, for goodness sakes, right? She couldn't possibly struggle with that. And then I heard her tell a story. And this story changed my life in terms of letting go of just letting go of this need to always get it right. Okay, letting go of this need to please people. It started me on a trajectory and a journey, and I'll quickly share it with you because I thought it was so cute, because I was able to go, oh, me too. Okay, well, if it happens to Oprah, then it's okay that it happens to me. And I wonder if you can relate to that, right? I wonder if you can find yourself in a situation where you feel completely alone and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, nobody else ever experiences this. And then someone else tells you a story and you're like, same. Oh, yes, me too. And all of a sudden, something you've been judging and criticizing yourself over becomes not quite so big. So here's the story, right? Oprah was talking about how, when she became incredibly wealthy, everybody would always ask her for things, right? For money, to support charities. And she always felt like she had to say yes, because she was, like, oh, well, I have so much and they have so little. And she said, she made a joke about how they would always start the conversation with, Oprah, it's for the children, Oprah, right? And you can imagine, like any human being on the planet, when someone starts a sentence with, it's for the children, is going to want to hand over money. And so Stevie Wonder rings her one day and asks her to basically donate to the charity. And she had obviously been doing some work on herself around this, what she calls, I heard it from her, I don't know if she's the one that invented this statement, but the disease to please, right? Which is definitely wrapped up in your worthiness and your enoughness, because if you are enough and if you are worthy, you don't need to please other people because you already have your own worth, right? Anyway, Stevie rings her and says, Oprah, I want you to donate in this thing. And she says, Stevie, listen, I can't do that right now, or I'm not going to do that right now. And he goes, okay, no worries, and hangs up the phone. And she gets off the phone. She's like, oh my goodness, right? because she was thinking, Stevie's not going to like me anymore. He's going to hate me. He's going to think I'm a horrible person. And she started making up this story, going, I think he's going to think this of me. I think he's going to think that. I think he's going to think this. And what she did was she started hallucinating, right? And making up stories about how he was going to respond. So she was projecting based on her own experiences what he was going to think. And he was like, okay, no worries. And he hung up the phone and got on with his day. She couldn't believe it. She was like, oh my goodness. And in that moment, she realized that this disease to please was a real thing. And she realized that it was something that she definitely needed to heal herself from, because if you are running around doing things because you are fearful of losing the love or affection of somebody else, if you are doing something whereby you are worried about disappointing them, so instead of disappointing them, you disappoint yourself, then like you're not showing up for you. And then you're really not living a life fully expressed. You're definitely not living your life on purpose. And you are definitely not living an authentic life, right? If you are postcarding people when they say, I'm having drama, I'm having trouble, and you go, oh, well, if you just focus on your energy and your vibration and you postcard them, then like that's not showing up for that person. That's you like putting on your pretty little front and making out like, you're somewhat relevant. But that disease to please and that need to feel worth, it's universal. And if I didn't think it was before, the more that I do this work, the more I realize it is there, and it is something that every single human being on the planet to some degree struggles with it, right? And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whether you are Oprah Winfrey or Aubrey Marcus, who I absolutely adore. The simple fact is we are all, to some degree or not, wondering, am I enough? Am I worthy? Am I deserving? If I do this, what will the outcome be? And it takes a really brave and courageous soul to keep showing up and doing something, even if someone might not like it. And especially if somebody that you love may not accept it. And this for me has been, this is my greatest piece of work that I will work on till the day I die. And the funny thing about it is that we inherit some of these things from our family line, like it's generational, right? But this hustle for worthiness, it's a human condition. Nobody is spared except for people who, have serious neurological disorders. But the rest of the human planet, to some degree or not, we are all hustling for our worth. And what's really interesting about this is the impact this has on who you show up and become. Now, just before this show started, okay, I was dancing around in my practice here and I was singing at the top of my lungs. And I really love singing. And when I was young, I really loved singing. And truth be told, I can actually say it now. I got a pretty decent voice. Like, I'm no Mariah Carey, but I can sing along with Pink with the best of them. And, I've got pretty good tone. I can hold a tune. And when I was young, I really wanted to be a singer or a performer or an actress, right? It was my thing that I don't know, I was obsessed with it. And if you were to ask me why I wanted that, like I think I've always been a bit of an activist and I've always wanted to change the world. And I remember marching with my dad, at a Ban the Bombs and Save the Whales. And I was always quite vocal, right? And I just feel like my soul incarnated into this earthly plane to make a difference. And I feel like everybody really, to some degree or not, like I think we're all different people, but I think everybody likes having a positive impact on the people around them, right? Whether they admit it or understand it or know it, I think humans like to help other humans, right? It feels good. And I remember thinking back when I was young at wanting to be an actress and thinking to myself, actors and singers, like they have so much power, right? People listen to them, they can speak and they can be heard. And when they speak and when they say something, people shut up and they listen. I remember thinking that was where I wanted to go. And the thing that stopped me was not that I didn't have the ability, was not that I didn't have the talent. And it was not that I was not committed to or prepared to work on something hard, because honestly, on a lot of levels, I'm probably one of the hardest workers that I know. It had nothing to do with any of that. It came down to I was so worried what other people would think that I stopped myself short. I, started things and then I didn't finish. I didn't complete. And I told myself a story that, I didn't really want to do it and wasn't really for me. But at the end of the day, it really came down to the fact that I was so worried about other people's opinions, other people's judgments. I was so worried of not being good enough that I stopped myself in my tracks because I was so externally motivated, right? I was not doing it from a place from within. Now, if I could go back and tell my 7 year old self something, if I could go back and give her some advice today, knowing what I know today, I would say to her, Hun, if you love singing, you go out there and you sing your little heart out. And if it makes you feel good, go and do it. And if other people like it, great. But if they don't, it doesn't matter because you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. And I mean, let's be honest, look around. There is plenty of singers who don't have a great voice who are incredibly successful. Equally, there are plenty of talented musicians that never ever make it. And I'm curious, if you sit and reflect about that, what do you think that is about? Do you think that it's that they weren't lucky, that they didn't get their break? Or do you think that maybe some part of them actually doesn't feel that they are worthy, deserving, and enough? And me, I think it's a second. I think that belief around worth and that belief around enoughness, I think it controls our actions, it controls what we do. I think it steals our joy, it steals our happiness, and it stops us from actually living the life that we want to live. We hear a whisper in our ear that says, be a singer, sing and stand on a stage and impact and be amazing. And another voice goes, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to be up there singing? You're not good enough. People are going to look at you and go, oh my God, she's not pretty enough to be a singer. She's not thin enough. She's not talented enough. There's a million other people that are better than you. She's not enough is what it comes down to, right? And so I find it really interesting because now I sit back and I look at my beautiful daughter. And she's 10, and I talk a lot about her because she's my light. She's just so shiny and so bright. And I look at, the life that this kid gets to live. And I'm so mindful of saying to her, hey, just go out there and do what you want and be who you want to be. And don't worry about the end result. Like, she did a synchronization performance on the weekend. Definitely was not her best, performance ever. And she fell over, right? And as a mother, watching your daughter fall over on the ice in front of everybody with her team, like, my heart sank for her, right? But here's the thing, every other kid that I saw fall over throughout this performance, my heart was in my throat for all of them. Like, I had tears in my eyes. I was emotional, like seriously emotional the entire event. I was so worried she was going to get off the ice because I was looking at it through my lens when I was her age. And in my head, I was thinking, how would I respond? And the me that was 10 would have got off that ice, would have been so embarrassed and so ashamed that I'd fallen down. I would have beat the shit out of myself for letting my team down. I would have gone, I'm never doing it again. Or even worse, instead of beating the shit out of myself, I would have blamed someone else. I would have said, they pulled me over, they did this, to try and make an excuse for myself. And she got off the ice and she had a cut on her chin and a cut on her elbow. And I was like, great job, babe. Well done. And she goes, oh, that was terrible. Oh my goodness. And I was like, you know what? I'm just proud you showed up. Like, you're training so hard. And I'm so impressed with how hard you're working on all of this stuff. It's really, like, this is kind of the cream on top. And she wasn't fussed. She didn't care. We haven't really talked about it again. And I'm like, okay, that makes me happy because it's not that bit that's relevant, right? It's, there's a coach. I know I might be jumping around a bit here, which is, if you've watched any of my episodes, me, but there is a coach, John Wooden. John Wooden, I think is his name. And he was the basketball coach in America. I'm going to say for maybe the Lakers, but I could have got that wrong, and I will reference check and I will put in the correct information. But the way he used to coach his team was so cool, right? If his team came off the court and they had won, but he knew they had not done their best, he would be looking at them like, guys, don't even you should be hanging your heads in shame right now. That was not your best effort. He didn't give two hoots whether they won or whether they lost. He only cared, did they show up and did they do their best on the day? So if they lost a game, but he knew they hustled and they were amazing and they worked really hard and they trained really hard, he was more impressed with that than whether they won a game or not. And I think that that's a really good metaphor for life. How do you live your life, right? Are you living your life for the acceptance of others? Are you winning? Again, I've had some cold and flu tablets this morning because I was all very nasally and I feel a little bit off my head. So sorry about that. Full disclosure, I don't normally stumble over my words. But are you living your life for the external validation of other people, or are you living your life for you? Right? Are you living your life to please others, or are you living your life for yourself? It's a question worth asking, okay? Because what I know for certain is that if you are living your life worrying about what everybody else thinks and whether you've done a good enough job for anybody else, then the simple fact is you're never going to be happy, because your happiness is outside of you. Your happiness is coming from somebody else telling you that it was enough, somebody else telling you that it was good, someone else telling you that it was amazing. What if you just decided to show up every single day and put your best foot forward in every single way? I'm going to ask you that again. What if you just decided today that from this moment forward, you are always going to show up, you're going to put your best foot forward every single day, and you're not going to worry about what other people think, because people are always going to have opinions, right? And take feedback. Feedback is good. Feedback is what helps you progress and get better and improve and move yourself forward. Like, feedback is amazing. But don't rest your sense of worth and your sense of happy and your sense of contentment on whether somebody else liked or loved or accepted you. Because if you do that, you will never truly be happy. It all comes down to how you feel about you. Now, every day when I jump on here and I put this show together, I set an intention. And my intention is that, yes, I want to positively impact you. I also want to help you in some small way to know that you are not alone. I want to give you some resources and tools that can help you navigate your way through this crazy thing we call life, and maybe not have to go through every single traumatic event that I've been through to have the understandings and awarenesses and insights that I have. But you're going to choose your journey, okay? And every time I jump on here, do I feel scared and worried and concerned that some people might not like what I have to say? Yes. Am I fearful, like every time I'm looking at this and I'm doing it live and I can see people coming on and people going off and people coming on? Does that, does my inner critic go, oh, did you say something they didn't like? Oh, they think you're boring. Yes, I hear all of that. And I give that inner critic a seat. Right? I learned this great thing from Brene Brown. She says, you know what? You're always going to have that critic. You're always going to have that person who tells you it's no good. Right? But the funny thing is that critic that's telling you that it's no good, it's actually you. Because there's always going to be other people out there, but the loudest critic is going to be you. So give them a front row seat. Expect them to be there. Give them a bag of popcorn. But at the end of the day, you don't have to listen to what it is that they're saying, right? If it's useful and it's feedback that you can use to grow and change, fantastic. But if not, let that shit go, because it's not going anywhere. And actually, your inner critic is just trying to protect you. He. See, my inner critic is a him. I'm just going to go with that. He is just trying to help me not feel loss, not feel hurt, not be judged, not be criticized. So he's actually just looking after me. But if he stops me from going out and trying, if he stops me from going out and sharing, if he stops me from showing up and being all of the fabulosity that I have within, then that's not cool, right? Because now he's stealing from everybody else. He's stealing from me. Hey, Carmel, beautiful girl. Yeah, give that critic a seat. Like, just give them a front row armchair, baby. And when they're there, wave at them, say hello, and then get on with it. Because the simple fact is, if you can do that, then you will get out there and you will start living your life, right, for you. And if you live your life for you, if you live your life authentically, if you show up and you just do what you do, then people are going to like you. People are going to love you. People are going to dislike you. And that's okay. But if you're not resting your success on how they feel about you, then at least you're getting to do what you want to do. And I know that this is something I will work on for the rest of my life. And I know that it's something that I will share and speak about for the rest of my life, because I realize that this disease to please, what it does is it puts you in a box and it doesn't feel good. And the side effect of being in that box, it always will come back to some level of anxiety, depression, or addiction. Now, I know that that is a freaking huge call to make, but I have worked with enough people now, and I have done enough workshops and trainings. I have been mentored by some of the best coaches on the planet, and I continue to do so on a regular basis. And what I now know is that that hustling and that need and that desire to be liked and loved and accepted, everybody does it. We all want it. We've all got an inner critic. We all have this imposter syndrome. And if we worry about focusing on everybody else's opinions more than we focus on ourselves, we don't like how it feels, and we will numb ourselves. And the side effect of numbing will be addiction. But before the numbing, you'll get a whisper, and the whisper might be some anxiety, or it might be depression. And I have to tell you, of every single client I have ever worked with on the planet, right? And I've worked with thousands of people. I've got thousands and thousands of in-clinic hours with clients, helping them heal their trauma, their addiction, their anxiety, their not enoughness. And it all comes from either something external from them. It's that external validation. It's that I'm not living my life on purpose. I'm not doing the thing I want to do. I don't feel good. I'm fitting myself into some box that was not designed for me. And we will do it because we are so worried of being liked and loved and accepted that we will stick ourselves in that box and we will contort ourselves. But the reality is, if you just accept that that box was not meant for you, and if you can just accept that the inner critic is you, once you get that, then you can calm it down and you can soothe it. And I talk a lot about the white wolf and the dark wolf. To me, you know, the white wolf and the dark wolf, my dark wolf is my inner critic, right? Some people might go, you know, light, love and fear. My dark wolf is my fear. Now, fear can stand for so many different things, but if you are coming from a place of fear, you know, it can stand for false evidence appearing real. That's a great acronym. Or it can be fuck everything and run. But I choose, every time I feel that fear, once I assess, is this actually dangerous to me? I choose face everything and rise. Because I know that if I'm coming from a place of fear, it's not real. It's actually something about I'm now starting to look outside of myself, not inside myself. And I have said it again and again, and I will continue to say it. Happiness is an inside job. It comes from living in alignment with your values. It comes from loving and respecting yourself. It comes from walking your walk, talking your talk, making up stories that make you feel good, living in alignment with your belief system, and being the best version of yourself for you. And no one else can tell you what that is. So, you know, this is a journey we are taking. We are going to continue talking about this. And if you got something from this today, like, please tell people to join this group, because I am committed to showing up here every single week, and I will talk about whatever you guys want support with. So if there is something that you feel like you would like me to go deeper on, send me a message. Okay, ask me, tell me. I am an abundance of knowledge. I have done more trainings. I am like I was saying this the other day, I am like a training junkie. My dad looked at my hat that I was wearing at my daughter's ice skating event, and he goes, oh, and it was one of my coaches. And I've got so many hats from all these different things. And I looked at him and I said, I think I need my hat to now say training junkie, because I am. But I'm always wanting to grow. Not because I don't think I'm enough, although that is always there. But I'm always thinking, how do I learn more so that I can be more and show up more and share more? Anyway, so that's me. Let me just have a quick look. Did I write anything relevant down that I wanted to share? No, that's good. I love you guys. I hope that you got something from this episode. I'm looking forward to creating way more content and sharing it with you all. I hope you have an amazing Monday. Be safe, travel well, live light, be bright. I love you guys. Take care.